This is Algebra 2, Lesson 3.3, Solving Linear Systems in Standard Form. So we've been solving systems left and right for this chapter. We solved with graphing, we solved with tables, we solved with substitution. Now we are solving with elimination. So what we're going to do is I have two equations in standard form, rather than my intercept form, rather than my point slope form, standard form. Something x plus something y equals a constant. And the way that these are stacked, all I'm going to do is add the two equations together. I have a 4x and a 3x, that is 7x. I have a 3y and a negative 3y. And this is why it's called elimination, because 3y and negative 3y, they eliminate each other. 3 and negative 3 make 0, so that is gone. And then I have 15 plus 6 is 21. So right now I'm at 7x equals 21. I can divide both sides by 7, and x is 3. Pretty simple. But I'm not done yet. I need an x, I also need a y. I'm going to take this 3 that I got for x, and I'm going to substitute it back into my top equation. Now I can sub it into the top, I can sub it into the bottom. I don't really want to do both because it is a lot of work. You obviously can, but we're going to just go with the top one. I know 4 times 3 is 12. And I'm going to have to solve this again. I'm going to subtract 12 from each side of the equation. And then I can divide both sides by 3. And y is positive 1. So I'm going to go to the next equation, and let's pretend I do the same thing. If I add those equations together, 2 plus 2 is 4x, 5 and negative 3 is 2y, nothing eliminated. So that's not actually what I'm going to do. In this case, I'm going to subtract the equations instead, because 2x minus 2x eliminates. That's 0. 5 minus negative 3, a minus negative is the same as a plus, so 5 plus 3 is 8y, and 6 minus 22 is negative 16. Now before I keep going, the question that you obviously should be asking is, when do I add and when do I subtract? So I look where you have a match in your coefficients. I saw a 3 matched a 3 on the first example, so because this 3 matched this 3, I looked at their signs, and those signs were opposites. When we see opposite signs on our matching coefficients, we add the equations together. When you add opposites, you get a 0. On my second example, I saw a match right here. My 2 matched my 2, but they were both positive. When my signs are the same, I want to subtract. When you subtract 2 of the same sign, you get 0. So opposite add, same subtract. Once I have that figured out, I just keep going. Exactly the same way. I'm going to divide 8 on both sides of the equation, and y is negative 2. Now because I solved for y, I need to get x, and to get x, I'm going to sub that negative 2 back in for y. So I take my top equation, and I sub in a negative 2 for y. 5 and negative 2 is negative 10. And then we're going to solve for x by adding 10 to both sides of the equation, dividing by 2 on both sides of the equation, and x is 8. Example C shows 2x plus 4y is 12. Negative 2x minus 4y is 8. I look for a match. Well, I see one right here. They're opposites. Positive 2 and negative 2. Opposites tell me to add my equations together. 2x and negative 2x, well, that's 0. But 4y and negative 4y, that's also 0. And 0 does not equal 20. If you ever happen to eliminate both variables, that means no solution. Letter D, I see a match. I see two matches again. I see a match here in the x's. They're both a 1. I see matches in the y's. They're both 1s. I'll just go with the x's. I'll go with the y's. I see opposite on the y's. Opposite tells me to add. I wanted to add. Adding's easier. But they're not going to both eliminate. This is not a no solution because 1x plus 1x, that's not 0. 1 plus 1 is 2. But positive and negative, that's 0. And then we get 22. So don't jump the gun and eliminate as soon as you see two of the same numbers and no solution, because on letter D, I had differences in my signs, so it didn't no solution, even though it did on letter C, because all the signs they matched. Okay, anyways, letter D, I did x plus x, I got 2x, y plus negative y was 0, 18 plus 4 was 22, divide both sides of the equation by 2, and x is 11. We've practiced this many times, but we'll keep going. Sub our x in to the equation, 11 in for x, minus 11 from each side, and y is 7. That is it for the notes. Good luck on the exercises, and let me know if you have any questions.